Okay, so we will start with your presentation, sir. We'll give you maximum of 20 minutes if you need all of it to take us through the two heads at which your committee was allocated by Madam Speaker. You can start with your presentation, sir.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, the Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters is glad indeed to appear before you, Chair of the Expanded Planning and Budget Committee. The Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters has the honor to present its report for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for National Immigration Services, Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, and Head 76, Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts, for the financial year 1st January to 31st December 2026. Chairperson, pursuant to Article 202 of the Constitution of Zambia, Chapter 1 of the Laws of Zambia, the 2026 estimate of revenue and expenditure were presented to the National Assembly of Zambia by the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbega Msogotoni, on Friday, 29th September 2025. The 2026 national budget amounting to 253.1 billion, or 27.4% of the GDP, was delivered under the theme Consolidating Economic and Social Gains Towards a Prosperous, Resilient and Equitable Zambia. In accordance with the Standing Order 66 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Chair, sorry, these people from the constituency.
Can you sketch it off, sir?
Yes, I'm just completely. They want to participate in the budget. Sorry, Chair. Yes, Chair. So I'm saying in accordance with Standing Order 166 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Order 2024, the estimates were referred to various committees for detailed consideration. In scrutinizing the two heads of expenditure referred to, the committee held 8 meetings during which the committee interacted with the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts and the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, their respective permanent secretaries, selected grant-aided institutions and non-state actors. Chairperson, the committee's report highlights the findings and recommendations of the committee on each head. The report in this regard is in 2 parts. Part 1 presents the committee's findings and recommendations arising from the consideration of the budget estimates for the Head 23, National Immigration Services, Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, and Part 2 outlines findings and recommendations emanating from the consideration of the budget estimates for Head 76, Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts. Let me now highlight some of the recommendations of the committee on the two heads of expenditure. Head 23, National Immigration Services, Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security. The committee observes that the 2026 allocation to Head 23 has dropped by 2% compared to 2025 allocation. The decrease in the 2026 budget will imply underfunding to critical areas, which will in turn hamper the ability for the department to effectively undertake its operations. The committee further notes that 2026 is an election year and the department plays a critical role in safeguarding the country's sovereignty by ensuring that elections are not compromised by foreign nationals. The committee observes further that reduced funding will result in the reduction in the collection of non-tax revenue, as performance in this area is directly linked to operational activities which will be reduced due to reduced funding. In this regard, the committee recommends that instead of reducing, the allocation to this head should be increased beyond what it was in 2025. The committee further observes that although the allocation to this head has been increasing gradually over the years, with the highest increment in 2024, the department's operations have continued to be hampered by inadequate human resource. For instance, the department still has a deficit of 551 positions to fully operationalize the 2022 approved structure which awaits Treasury Authority. In this regard, the committee urges the executive through the means of finance and national planning to expedite the provision of Treasury Authority for the department to fill the vacant positions. The committee notes the department has embarked on a law review exercise to respond to the current emerging migration trends and challenges. The bill is intended to provide for the establishment of border guards, use of firearms, establishment of holding facilities, and introduction of other classes of permits, among other developments aimed at improving migration governance. In this regard, the committee urges the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security to expedite the process of reviewing the Principal Act, Migration and Deportation Act, in order to respond effectively to the complex migration dynamics as well as align them with the contemporary international best practices, preferably before the 2026 general elections. Chairperson, with your indulgence, should I proceed to Head 26?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Head 76, Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts. Chairperson, the committee observed that whereas direct youth empowerment has been allocated 72.6 million, only 20.0 million has been allocated to skills infrastructure development. The committee is of the view that the best way of empowering youths is to give them life skills, which is only possible if there is adequate supportive infrastructure. In this regard, the committee recommends a variation of 25.0 million from the Youth Empowerment Program to the Skills Infrastructure Development Program. The committee observes that of the allocation towards the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts, over 50% of it has been channeled towards sport management and development. While the committee appreciates the importance of sport, it is of the view that other equally important programs should be prioritized. In this regard, the committee recommends that 2.6 million of the 123 million allocated to sports management and development program be redirected towards arts development and management. The committee further observes that the placement of arts development and management under the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts has obscured its contribution to gross domestic product GDP. In this vein, the committee recommends that in order for the subsector to meaningfully contribute to GDP, it should be moved to the Ministry of Tourism to enhance tourism arrivals. The committee notes that there are a number of empowerment programs being implemented by various ministries and government agencies. However, there is limited coordination with regard to these empowerment programs. Mr. Chair, therefore the committee recommends that the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts be given the mandate to develop and implement a mechanism to coordinate various institutions implementing empowerment programs for the youth to ensure there is no duplication. Chairperson, I submit.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable members, any questions? Honorable Mabenga, then Honorable Musanje, in that order. Honorable Mabenga.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just want to, I need a clarification on page 11.
Page 11?
Yes, infrastructure development. I just want to find out from the committee whether it was possible that this infrastructure development can go to the right for ministry, which is the infrastructure development, rather than under sport again, because
Which sub-head that?
that is the 1003,
Okay.
1004.
So the last one on the...
Yeah,
on the table.
that was 9010.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think the Minister of Infrastructure, and that's a rightful minister rather than sport. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Musanje.
Thank you, Chair. I think the question is to do with the head on immigration. You talked about revenue, that the immigration needs more revenue to in order to collect more revenue. Now, my observation is that the Immigration Department has got consistent structures, such as the Immigration Office headquarters here in Osaka, where you always find a queue of people paying, the border areas where people are paying, and the like. And they recently recruited, so why do you want to vary more resources to this department, which is got clear structures? And where do you want to move from head what to which head, or from which line to what line do you want to move money to this department to recruit more staff? And in future, let them also recruit from our constituents, because they didn't recruit from Bawara. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, honorable members? I see none. Okay, you can respond to...
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll attempt to respond to the two questions, but my members may also chip in where they feel that they need to add on something. From Honorable Mabenga, they feel that the infrastructure component in the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Art be moved or be considered under the Ministry of Infrastructure and National Planning. Indeed, Honorable, as you have noticed, almost all the line ministries have the infrastructure component. But then, to be specific for Ministry of Youth Sport, if you suggest that moving the infrastructure component to the Ministry of Infrastructure and National Planning or National Development, that would mean also varying from all other line ministries where infrastructure is considered. But I think that is something for further consideration for the wider community or wider house. For Honorable Musanje, the revenue needed, the immigration is more revenue in order to collect more revenue. This indeed was a submission looking at the fact that when you look at the human resource in the Department of Immigration, they actually stated that looking at the vastness of the borderlines and also the points of entry in the country, they only have close to 2,000 manpower, which is quite a small number if they have to effectively implement the revenue collection. Look at the vastness, for example, northwestern, the borderline between Zambia and DRC, and also the various crossing points. So the 2,000 manpower is too small. And of that, I said 100 is actually the uniformed and the rest is non-uniformed. So the number is still small, but looking at the infrastructure is also not adequate as stated in the report. So for them to effectively collect more revenue, because immigration is a very, very important component. Just for example, the Mushindamo Kipushi border, the revenue that is collected from the immigration by the people, the immigrants, is over 6 million. Okay, so if the border infrastructure was increased and all these border guards employed so that people are not able to use undesignated frontiers to enter, then they'll be able to effectively collect more revenue. So hence the request that variation be made in terms of allocation to human resource to increase that, and also infrastructure. Honorable members, in case there is anything that you need to chip in.
Honorable Simunyi, before Honorable Mavenga comes in.
Thank you, Chair. I want to take the committee to page 5 and pay attention to 3.9, the table there. Under 2025 personal emoluments, the budget was 226,239,983. What was the release was 71 million. What was spent was 71 million. I wanted to find out from the committee whether they had interrogated the witnesses. How? Where the money? What happened that the money for petrol emoluments were not released? Were the affected officers not? Were they paid? How were they being paid? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Mavumba.
Just in addition to also what Honorable, as the last speaker has just said, Chair, on page 5, because when you look in 2024, the personal emolument budget was 176, and what was released was 176 million. Now, when you go to 2025, it is showing 226 million, and what was released was 71 million. So how do these years relate, Honorable Chair of the committee, witness? The 2024 personal emolument budget versus that of 2025, because when you look at the difference is quite significant. How did you account for this? Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so that we are on the same page, also as you respond on this 2025, this 71 million is up to which date? Maybe that way, because we are still in 2025. So this 71 million is up to which date? No. If you check under 2025, as what Honorable Mavumba has said, personal emolument 176, everything was paid. Then 2025, 226, 71.4 million is been paid. So maybe we wanted to find out this is up to which month, if I we have those figures. You can respond to that.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. I'll pick a few areas of concern, and then my colleagues with the actual table figures may try to address one or two things. Chair, on the release, just like the other components, if we notice what is budgeted for and what is released, there's been that discrepancy. And upon interrogating the various stakeholders who appeared before the Committee on Youth, Sport and Art, also the immigration, they stated that it is because the Minister of Finance, in terms of release, there is that inconsistency. You find that before the end of the year, what has been released is not matching to what has been budgeted for. And also, when it comes to issues like procurement, it is a similar thing, that it is the bureaucracies, and the procurement processes that are involved. You find that before the conclusion is done, the year comes to an end. So that brings in the reason to why the release and what is budgeted for, there is that discrepancy. Hence, one of the recommendations that the Minister of Finance should be prompt in terms of releasing, because you notice that in certain heads or sub-heads, what has been released, it is immediately absorbed or spent. So that has been the scenario, basically the processes and involving the Minister of Finance and also the procurement processes. Maybe my colleague with the actual figures, if there is anything to add on. No, Chair. I think the Honorable Mavumba, what has actually stated that there is so much discrepancy. I think there was an oversight there where we couldn't actually get the actual reasoning on that aspect of the youth.
I think the question there is, that is the personal emoluments. Yeah, this is 100% because this is a constitutional mandate for the government to pay the civil service, isn't it? And for 2024, according to the table you have given us, the ministry approved 176 million and everything was paid. But for 2025, we know that we have not yet closed the year.
Yes.
You have 226 against 71. So the members may be concerned because we are almost towards the end of the year. Hence we were asking to say, why is this on the lower side? And that's why I added on to ask to say, maybe we go to the months, up to what point or which month was this related to? Say, was it by May that maybe 71 million was paid? So did you find out from the ministry which month this related to?
Thank you, Chair. Actually, it was not stated, but in general, the information that we gathered was that it was up to the third quarter, and the fourth quarter, or this period towards the end of the year, that has not been accounted for.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, Honorable members? Honorable Mwabenga, yes, you had a hand. Your mic, Vice Chairperson.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just want to take you to page 8. Recommendation number 2, this Treasury Authority. When you had the meeting
You
with
said the recommendation number?
2,
Okay.
Treasury Authority to recruit 551 people. I don't know what excuse the witness gave, why this Treasury Authority is taking so much, this long, because 2022 is a long period just to get an authority.
You can respond to that.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, when we look at that concern and the request by the department, looking at the demand for the human resource, they indicated that they had done everything possible in terms of the establishment, in terms of reporting to the Ministry of Finance, and the request that those vacant positions be filled. But for unknown reasons, the departments were not availed with the information, and that is the gap that is there. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Simunji.
I think the committee has answered the Honorable Mawumba's question.
Which one is?
The personal emoluments for 2026 being too low.
Okay, Honorable Mawumba. No, we didn't go to 20. Yeah. But also you are right. In fact, it was not his question per se. We were on 2025. But if you have your table for personal emoluments for 2026, there's only a budget of 7,822,223. Okay. In 2024, it was 176 million. 2026, 2025, sorry, 226 million. Then 2026, it has dropped to 7 million. Is this a typo? We just take note of that before we wind up tomorrow. We need to find out on that page. Let's have the correct figure. You can work through your clerks too, so that we have the correct figure. You have seen that one, isn't it? Yeah. So just we can give you that. We can have it tomorrow. If that's okay, Honorable Simunji. Yes, please. Thank you. Honorable members, we end here. Vice Chairperson and your team. Thank you very much once again for coming through to appear before this committee. We are sitting on Wednesday with the Minister of Finance, and your recommendations basically will be taken into account. Okay, having said that, do have a great day and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. And that aspect has been noted. I'll try to follow up what the comment was, but there was definitely a comment on that aspect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.